Did Pete Hegseth just confess that he's a war criminal, that he should be prosecuted when the Trump administration is all said and done in about 3 years? Because the new reporting is, coming from within inside the Pentagon, is that after the first strike, first of 20, on human beings on fishing boats in the Caribbean that have killed up to 80 people, after the first strike, and they hit it with 2 drones, and there were 10 or 12 people on it, there were still 2 people alive. They were clinging to the side of the boat. And according to the new reporting, including in the Wall Street Journal, Pete Hegseth verbally gave the command to hit it again, to double tap the boat in order to kill the survivors, that no one should be left to survive. Now think about that for a minute. We are 80 deaths into this program. And I can't tell you, and you can't tell me, and the government can't tell us, and Trump can't tell us who was killed, why they were killed, but I know certain facts. Nobody from Tren de Aragua, higher level decision-making, was killed. Nobody from a narco-terrorist gang was killed. We don't know what was on board because there was no interdiction program. See, normally the Coast Guard would interdict, get possession of the boat, take the people off, interrogate them, get to the highest levels of the narco-terrorists and prosecute them and have them extradited. And then we get control of the goods on the boat, the cocaine and the other drugs. But how can you do that if you blow them out of the water without due process? You've lost the ability to interrogate. You've lost the ability to interdict, but they don't care about that. But now we've got war criminal written all over somebody like Pete Hegseth. And we got Rand Paul saying out loud that J.D. Vance saying, I don't give a shit, literally, about due process and about the lives of these people. This is the proper use of the military, is immoral, is illegal. And others are saying there's going to be prosecutions when this is all said and done. And to have the Department of Defense and Pete Hegseth lie to Congress and lie to the American people and say the only reason for the double tap and to take out those 2 lives clinging to the side of the boat was to clear the wreckage from the sea lane. What are you talking about? In a vast Caribbean Sea, Caribbean Ocean, we're worried about a fishing boat? That's not the reason you did it. You did it to kill those people so they could never be heard from again. Here's what Representative Seth Moulton, a former Marine Corps veteran, said after he got a classified briefing from the Pentagon. Says the idea that wreckage from one small boat in a vast ocean is a hazard to marine traffic is patently absurd, and killing survivors is blatantly illegal. Mark my words, he said, and he's on the House Armed Services Committee. It may take some time, but Americans will be prosecuted for this either as a war crime or outright murder. See, Pete Hegseth, you got to worry, because your boss may have presidential immunity by way of the Supreme Court, but you don't. And you're clinging, apparently, to a very thin reed, Office of Legal Counsel, that because we're in some sort of armed conflict, that all bets are off and you can fire at will. People that have seen the video, and we've only seen the edited video, of the 2 men clinging to the side of the boat, getting blown out of the water, said Americans would be horrified. A future tribunal is going to be horrified. The prosecutors prosecuting somebody like Pete Hegseth are going to be horrified. The jury is going to be horrified. Let me show you the clip that they're running around and showing you, the edited clip of the strike. Let's play the clip.
The president put that video of him eviscerating, blowing up that boat coming across with all of the drugs on board. And the president said on social, on Truth Social, let them be on notice to anybody bringing drugs to the U.S. Beware. So the president is sending a message to other cartels, right?
A very clear one. I can tell you that was definitely not artificial intelligence. I watched it live. We knew exactly who was in that boat. We knew exactly what they were doing, and we knew exactly who they represented. And that was Tren de Aragua, a narco-terrorist organization designated by the United States, trying to poison our country with illicit drugs. Last year, under the Biden administration, all 4 years 100,000 Americans died from drug-related, from drugs, from the use of drugs, many of which poured in from Central and South America through our southwest border. Now, we're sealing the border, but President Trump is willing to go on offense in ways that others have not been, and to send that clear signal to Tren de Aragua, Cartel del Sols, and others emanating from Venezuela. We're not going to allow this kind of activity. You're poisoning our people. We've got incredible assets, and they are gathering in the region. And so you want to try to traffic drugs? It's a new day. It's a different day. And so those 11 drug traffickers are no longer with us, sending a very clear signal that this is an activity the United States is not going to tolerate.
But what they're not showing you, and what they're lying about, is the willful murder of human beings without due process. I mean, Pete Hegseth, when he gave testimony about it, said, we know they're Tren de Aragua. Where's the evidence? We haven't gotten one bit of detail, because there isn't any, that these people were members of the Tren de Aragua narco-terrorist gang, who they were, what their identity was, what their link to the narco-terrorist gang was, or the drug cartels, what was on board, who was on board, none of it. That is the new world order that Donald Trump has tried to impose, wrapped himself in an American flag, stealing our patriotism. Talk about stolen valor. This is the stolen valor of all Americans. So we're going to continue to report on these heinous crimes committed by the Trump administration, and everybody below Donald Trump, right, better keep a suitcase packed by their door, because one day there's going to be a knock, and there's going to be a prosecution related to war crimes or murder. And now that we've got the new reporting, particularly that Pete Hegseth gave the green light, he gave the code red to kill those men in the water, he's defendant number one when all is said and done. See, they think this is going to go on forever. But the Trump administration is already in its sunset, and they're only 10 months in. Trump is in his sunset. He's busy using anything he can come up with. Thanksgiving holiday, an attack on the National Guard led by somebody who his administration gave an amnesty to because he was a member of the CIA and a member of the U.S. military in Afghanistan, who went crazy and shot and killed beloved Americans. I get it. But the exploitation of these events to try to grab the micro news cycle is disgusting. We're watching the sundowning of Donald Trump. And his administration should be wary, because as he loses grip on power, he's going to be attacking them and throwing them under the bus. Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Tulsi Gabbard, you name it. Howard Lutnick, anybody that's riding high now, making hay while the sun shines. As soon as things turn dark, Donald Trump's going to go after you. All he cares about is himself, his money, and his family, and his family's money. Period. So we're going to continue to follow the war crimes being perpetrated by Donald Trump right here on Legal AF. Thanks for joining us on Saturday, Thanksgiving weekend. We need to talk about these things. We need to talk about them in a serious way. We need to be the adults in the room and stay together as a community as we run into 2026, holding hands together. Take a minute, hit the free subscribe button, come over to Legal AF Substack and do the exact same thing. Until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.